Welcome to Pinpoints, key points from top business webinars. The topic of this issue is the Worthiness era, becoming a good company, highlighting takeaways from a popular webinar with economist Lori Bassi and veteran journalist Ed Fraunheim. The research is clear that people are increasingly seeking transformative experiences, not just products or services. And that has enormous implications for how companies have to attract, recruit, retain, train, motivate, and compensate all employees. Glassdoor.com is an example of what is called technology-fueled people power. As the name Glassdoor suggests, it enables people to see into that company, which normally has been obscured, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. Together with Yelp, Facebook, and other social networking sites, they create a phenomenal degree of transparency, what's called the naked corporation. Around the world and developing nations, increasing focus on environmentalism and the social media represents a way for people to quickly find out if they're purchasing products that are good for the world or not. Occupy Wall Street is a representation of the political forces. Around the world, there's an increasing distrust and decreasing patience with bad corporate behavior. It's leading to an increase in regulation. These three examples are representations of the economic, the social, and the political forces that are calling forth this new, more helpful economic era, which is labeled the Worthiness era. An example of a good employer is Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. There's a story from their former CEO about how the company handled the Great Recession. Their CEO at the time, Paul Levy, talked about facing some severe budget cuts. He talked about seeing janitors clean rooms, food service workers delivering meals, and other low-wage workers pushing gurneys with patients. These people were giving patients a cheerful presence. They were giving kind words to the patients. These supposedly lowest-skilled workers were actually important to delivering health care. At a staff meeting soon afterward, he struggled to put this into words, this idea that there could be some way in which the high earners of this hospital could help find ways to preserve more of the jobs for the low-wage workers. He really had touched their hearts. All these cost-saving ideas poured in, and ultimately, the hospital was able to save almost all of the jobs they had targeted for layoff. Being a caring, exacting, and inspiring employer, you have to be uplifting in the way you reach and touch your employees, in the way Beth Israel did by treating patients as family. An example of a good seller is American Express. In 1999 to 2005 timeframe, they had mediocre scores when it came to service. However, to American Express's credit, they did see a problem. They recognized that there's something they need to fix. So, beginning in 2005, they made a real push to improve service at what they called the Relationship Care Program. What American Express tries to do is deepen the relationship that they had with their customers. One thing that stands out about the Relationship Care Program is that they aren't trying to sell you anything. They're simply trying to help you see that you have more options, more value in your card than you might know about. American Express isn't perfect, but they do capture some important elements of being a good seller. If you're not familiar with Seventh Generation, it's a major household and personal care products company in the United States. They're very responsible when it comes to environmental and social issues. In 2008, they did just that with the Corporate Consciousness Report. In it, they spent a good deal of time talking about how they had found a chemical called 1,4-dioxane in their soap and fabric softener. This chemical is a likely carcinogen. By highlighting this fact and talking about their efforts to eliminate the substance from their products, Seventh Generation showed the kind of transparency that is needed for good stewardship. There are 5 key intangible traits that are part of being a good company. They're intangible because they're hard to measure again and again in the best companies. The first one is reciprocity, which is the idea of doing business in an all-win way, where all of the stakeholders benefit as much as possible with all your decisions. Connectivity is the next one, where you're using the technology tools available today to create better links between all your stakeholders, again, which can help with communication and then help people work more effectively. Transparency is another one. That idea of the glass door and the naked corporation, it's increasingly required to disclose the challenges you're dealing with and the operations that you have. Balance is another one. Finding that middle ground between competing interests, short-term gain versus long-term investment. And courage is the last one. This might sound like an odd term for a hard-nosed business prescription. However, it's an important piece of going forward in the worthiness era. Lori Bassi is the CEO of McBassi & Company, a consulting firm that specializes in human capital analytics. Ed Fraunheim is a journalist with 15 years of experience writing about topics including technology, work, business, and education. Bassi and Fraunheim are the co-authors, along with Dan McMurr and Larry Costello, of Good Company: Business Success in the Worthiness Era. The featured webinar was produced by SoundView Live.